Hi, I'm Chris Kimball from Milk Street Kitchen. I'm here at Williams-Sonoma to change your life, at least change your life when it comes to making pies for Thanksgiving. Here's the problem. The problem with pie dough is if you don't add enough water, it's very hard to roll out and work with, but it actually comes out really nice and tender. If you add more liquid to it, it's easier to roll out, easier to work with, but it tends to develop more gluten and becomes tougher. So the question is this: how do you create a pie dough that's easy to roll out, it's easy to work with, it doesn't shrink when you pre-bake it, and it turns out nice and tender and flaky? Well, we actually have that answer finally after almost 4 decades. And it starts with a technique that comes from Japanese bread baking. So what we do is take 3 tablespoons of water and a couple teaspoons of cornstarch, and we're just gonna whisk this a little bit. And what we're gonna now do is trap this water in a gel. And the way we're gonna do that is by putting this in the microwave for about 30 seconds, and it's gonna turn into this, which is rubbery. It's an actual gel. So we're gonna start with a little more than a cup of flour. This is a cup and 2 tablespoons. A couple teaspoons of sugar, and we're gonna put in a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. And now we're just gonna pulse that for a few moments. So now this is the gel that we've taken out of the freezer. It was in there for 10 minutes. I'm gonna put that in. This is your water, folks, for the recipe. Bear with me, it really works. And we're gonna pulse that just to get it broken up. About 5 pulses. Okay, now we're going to add our fat. This is 10 tablespoons. We use salted butter, and then we also have a couple tablespoons of sour cream. It has fat in it, which is nice. And also, you end up with a slightly flakier dough. So we're gonna put that in. So we're gonna turn that on, and we're gonna watch the dough come together. And we're gonna press it into about a 4-inch disc. I would leave this for at least an hour in the fridge. It's better if you do it the day before, let it rest overnight. It'll be a little bit easier to work with. So this is rested for an hour in the fridge, and it's good to let it come up to a little bit of temperature for maybe 10 minutes when it comes out. I don't have to use a lot of flour for this because it's not going to stick as much as other doughs. And the best way to do this is just whack it, and I'm just going to whack the dough. Now this gets out to about 8 inches or so. We're probably going for about 12 inches for that pie plate. And let's talk about pie plates. You probably don't want a really deep dish pie plate for this recipe. It's a cup and 2 tablespoons of flour. It's really designed for a traditional plate. You also want a pie plate that has a rim on it. And if you don't have a rim, it's really hard to create the crust. So a rimless pie plate's fine for a 2-crust pie, like an apple pie. But if you're doing a pumpkin pie or pecan pie, you want something for that edge to sit on. Easy to do, anybody can do this. The dough is incredibly forgiving. So now we're getting there. And you can take your time with this, by the way. It's not a race. So one thing you can do is this: you can just lift it up like this, put the dough down, pie plate down. Yeah, there we go. So now the next thing you want to do is make sure that the edges of the pie shell are pushed down into the plate. If you don't do that, it'll have a tendency to shrink when pre-baked. So you're just going to push it down. Now I'm going to trim it. So now I'm just going to take my thumb and forefinger, my right hand, index finger, my left hand. So there you have it. So we're gonna throw this in the fridge for a while just to chill it down. We can finish it in the freezer and then pop it into the oven. So this has been in the fridge for about an hour or so. So we're going to put foil on it. I'm gonna put this in the pie shell, and just like when I did the sides of the dough, make sure you push it down. And if you had a lot of extra foil, you can just cut around. Pie weights, these are ceramic. You can use pennies, you can use rice, you can use beans. So here's the pre-baked crust. Notice it really didn't shrink. 375 for 25 minutes. Take off the foil, 7 or 8 minutes additional. And there you have it, a no-shrink, easy roll pie crust from Milk Street Kitchen.